everyone. It's Victoria at Motherwell coming to you with a bump date, I guess, because I am 16 weeks pregnant today. And I asked on my social media if people were interested in updates, bump dates periodically, and you all said yes. So I'm here to deliver. No pun intended, though. So if you don't know me, I guess I'll introduce myself. My name is Victoria. I live in Berea, Kentucky, which is central Kentucky, kind of horse country area. And I've been a doula in this area since 2015. I've attended getting close to well over 100 births at this point. Supporting families as doula. I've worked as a childbirth educator and as a home birth midwife assistant since 2015. And so I have a birth experience professionally, but I also have 3 kids and now one on the way. So I kind of wanted to do this maybe for myself also, just to kind of have sort of like a vlog journal to look back on with this baby. And also just to kind of, I really think it's important for us professionals to show people who aren't in the field that we're real parents too. We have real concerns and real issues, real joys and fears with our own pregnancies. And so I hope that this transparency is helpful for you, whether you're a birth professional or you're an expecting parent. So, like I said, I'm 16 weeks today, and this is a surprise. We kind of thought our family was done, I will say, and it had been kind of increasing for the last year. I've had this feeling of, man, maybe there's just another baby inside of me. Like, I'm really kind of sad to not be pregnant again and give birth again and do the whole newborn thing again. I was kind of trying to make peace with the fact that I wouldn't be pregnant again. And then surprise, I got pregnant. Our joke is that, it only takes one time at the right time to make a baby, if you're not using your typical contraception. And so one time at the right time and we have a baby. And again, it's kind of funny as a professional, like in me trying to make peace with the fact that I thought our family was done at 3. It's kind of hard to support people when you're having that question, like I was really trying to challenge myself to say, hey, I want to be, an excellent doula. Like I can support people without having another experience myself. And I can separate their experiences from my experiences. But I would be lying if I said there wasn't always a little twinge, when I see that baby be born and the family receive that baby and get to know them and smell them. And even with all the, I certainly know that having babies isn't all rainbows and sunshine, but even in the difficulties, just kind of thinking like, man, I can't believe like I did that 3 times and I'm not going to get to do it again. And then here we are. It was kind of, I guess I'd be lying, like I said, to say that I saw those things and I didn't want it a little bit more for myself. But my husband was kind of on a different page, and it wasn't something like I have to have a baby. It was just, man, I want to do that. And like I said, this year, the kind of in the winter months of 2022, I guess like early spring, one time at the right time, and now I'm pregnant. So that first week of finding out was so sweet. It was actually the first day of my kids' spring break. And my husband and I, we just kind of kept the news to ourselves. My doula was actually the first person I told because my husband was in the middle of a really long meeting he couldn't really be interrupted from. And I had to tell somebody. So I told our doula, who's, a good colleague of mine here in the area, just a dear friend, colleague I so respect, and I'm really thrilled she's our doula. And I told a friend too, a close friend, just because we had, like the week before, we had just had that conversation of like, what if I'm not done being pregnant? So it was kind of funny to call her and say, hey, I actually was pregnant when I said all those things to you. But other than that, it was just kind of fun to just, he and I knew. And I always think I'm going to like keep the news of being pregnant hush hush for longer than I actually do. And in this case, it was kind of hard because we had the kids, we have 3 kids. They're ages 4, 6, and 8. And this is the first pregnancy I've had where the older siblings were like really dialed into what's going on. I guess like in the past, the oldest sibling I've had was a 4-year-old, and now 4 is my youngest. So I don't know. It just kind of feels like when you're 6 and 8, and I'm sure if people have children who are older in the home, kids are smart. They kind of know what's going on. And I wanted them to know, hey, there's a little baby in here. And I just think it's fun for them to be in on that news. They were so excited. It was very sweet. And I'm going to treasure telling them, and just those kind of early weeks of just our close friends and us knowing. But I will say that initial, like, oh, I'm pregnant, I get to do this again, I would say pretty quickly, like within, 2 weeks or something, anxiety just really set in. I remember I was maybe like 5 or 6 weeks, and I had a couple clients have babies in a row, and they were just really challenging births, challenging deliveries, like long hours, hard work. And I remember thinking, like, oh no, am I hurting my baby by doing this? Doomsday Googling things I shouldn't have been Googling. And again, like, I'm a doula. I professionally tell people not to do those things, and I'm doing them. So I totally get it. It's very natural, I think, to worry about your baby. And I couldn't help but think about, we have a lot of research out now that's kind of saying, obviously we know that maternal mental health is something a lot of people can struggle, having stable during pregnancy and postpartum, but especially during COVID. I believe I've seen stats. I'll put it in the comments here in the description. I'll put it in the description if you want to read more. But since like COVID has come upon us, those rates have been almost as high as 75% of moms who are reporting increased anxiety symptoms, depression, that sort of thing. It's just hard, and again, whether or not you're a person who is particularly concerned about COVID or not, I think that we all can agree there's certainly been just a cultural groundswell. Just a lot of things feel unsettled right now in more of a heightened way, perhaps because of the pandemic and all of that brought up. There was a lot going on. Like, it's doing something to us, seeing, on the kind of cable news cycle, like death tolls every day, and death, sickness, dying, problems. Not to say that COVID isn't real or existing, but it certainly does something to your mind. Again, whether you're a person who's particularly concerned about it or not, and the research with maternal mental health has borne that out as well. Being in the hospital, working in the hospital, I remember thinking in 2020 and 2021, like, man, I'm glad I'm not having a baby right now. This is really intense. But anyway, all that to say, it's been different being pregnant and COVID and during the uncertain times, for sure. Something else different this time around is that we are planning a home birth. So I've given birth in the hospital the last 3 times. In my second pregnancy, that we realized that I have a blood condition called I think it's ITP, idiopathic thrombocytopenia, which means low blood platelets. Low blood platelets can show up gestationally in pregnancy or as an indicator of another problem like preeclampsia. But in my case, I just have low platelets. They're moderately low. Most of the time, I don't need like blood transfusions or anything like that for them. They're just low, and then in pregnancy, they typically get lower. So the problem can be platelets help your blood clot, and so if your blood doesn't clot, when you're losing a lot of blood, like childbirth, that can be problematic. But we've never like addressed it, or other than just kind of following up with the specialists who have kind of said, you're not really super sick with this, or it's a chronic condition, as in it's always with me, but it's not like impacting my life, so there's not really a whole lot they do with me. But we've just always taken that as like home birth is just off the table. It's write it off. But again, 4th pregnancy, surprise pregnancy, I should say, I feel like it's a chance for me to ask some different questions. And so we are starting out with home birth care with, a very good team that I trust immensely, who is monitoring my platelets. They have me on some really good, like, routines of vitamins and kind of health regimen to help make sure that we can give my platelets every chance possible to rise and to not drop below 100,000 is kind of the threshold. If my platelets drop below 100,000, I'm not a candidate for a home birth. If they are above 100,000, I can. So we're just kind of starting that process in faith, and I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm trying to hold it loosely and trying to remind myself that everybody who chooses any kind of birth, right, we're always holding that loosely. There's never a guarantee you're going to get the exact birth that you're planning. But what you can do is just give yourself good information, good people around you. And we know that's going to make you feel the best about your outcome as if you were like the decision maker and you had some efficacy, self efficacy, and, just some empowerment. So we're trying it. I'm excited. Even if I end up like risking out, we're kind of monitoring my blood. I think we're going to blood draw every appointment just to be really careful and safe. Even if I do end up risking out, like in that, last month or so of pregnancy, I'm very excited to have the prenatal care that I'm getting. And I'm very excited to get the postpartum care that's going to come with the home birth. So even if I give birth in the hospital, the home birth team will still come to do my postpartum care at home with me and the baby, and I'm very excited about that. And I'm also hopeful for a home birth. I got like all my records. I'm kind of digging through everything. My midwives did a ton of research for me. It sounds like they have me and another client who's got the same situation going on, so we're kind of like they're guinea pigs in the best way, I guess, and I'm excited to be part of that process of figuring out, like, okay, do these nutritional changes and these supplements, does that really help? Can we change outcomes? So we'll see how it goes, but I'm just really excited. And that kind of leads into this time around, I'm really focusing a lot more on nutrition and just whole body wellness. I became a doula when I went to training when I was pregnant with my second. And then I got pregnant with my third. Like, I went to training in 2015. I got pregnant with my third in 2017 and had her in 2018. So I had been to like a few births since then, or during that time. Like, I was a doula, I guess, when I was pregnant with my third baby, but I wasn't as busy. I think maybe total by the time she was born, I had been to 12 births, like in-person support. And since then, I've just gotten busier. I've like doubled or tripled or quadrupled the number of clients I support every year. So now, right, I'm nearing 100. And since my third has been born, I feel like I've seen a whole lot of stuff. I've learned a lot just personally, and I've kind of had a running list of like, if I get to be pregnant again, I'm definitely doing some things differently. Even though I didn't really hate my first pregnancies, it was just, you kind of know better, do better. So definitely focusing more on my nutritional needs, my like vitamin, mineral supplements, and then body work, so doing things like the Spinning Babies daily activities class. I actually just bought that for parents. I'm going to watch that and do that for myself. Going to a craniosacral therapist every month. Probably going to throw in chiropractic somewhere in here. Just really trying to think about my wellness. So I'm excited for that, to see what the difference is. So yeah, right now, I guess 16 weeks, we're going to have our anatomy scan in about 4 weeks. We do plan on finding out the gender. So I'll probably talk more about my thoughts about gender once I actually know what the baby is, if it's a boy or a girl. But we're excited, either way, just to kind of put a name to this little kiddo and just keep growing it, as best you can, and trying to just key in, to my body. And I haven't quite I felt like the twinges of my belly growing, and I felt some little, maybe like movements, but I'm hoping in the next couple, like here, week or so, 2 weeks or so, I'm really going to start feeling some more impactful movement. I don't know. That was always something that I really enjoyed and like liked about being pregnant. So it feels like so far it's kind of dragging by, like I think until you kind of get much bigger and start feeling movements, and if you find out gender, if you can, or if you've named your baby, whatever that connection point is for you, I feel like I'm kind of waiting for those connection points. Even the heartbeat, like we've seen the heartbeat on the screen, but it's not been so far. I guess I had a 12-week visit. We could like see the heartbeat, but you couldn't actually hear it really well. So even that, I'm like looking forward to being able to hear the heartbeat, and just trying just to wait and be patient and trust everything is going well. Again, some of that anxiety I mentioned, I've definitely had more of that than I would like to have, and I'm kind of having to work harder to push that back, and just kind of not judge myself for having it, just saying, okay, this is the anxieties that I'm having, but what do I need to do to be well and take care of myself right now? and try to reduce some of that stress and anxiety, because I do want a healthy pregnancy as much as possible. So yeah, that's kind of where I am. Just kind of pregnant, excited, ready to be like more pregnant and to know more things and feel more things. And um, I'll try to update you as we go. If there's anything specifically you want me to talk about in these bump dates, let me know. But otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one. And thanks for listening to my story. Hope it helps.